Hey guys, Jay here. So this is going to be a first video in a series of all the beginner's guide and tip. And this one is going to be around blessings. And I will show you all the information that I have gathered throughout the process of playing. I have intentionally tried to record all the pathing that I have tested out and tried in the game. And here I want to share with you guys all the pathing and how you can get to the actual blessing that is super powerful and yeah, really beneficial for your run. So you can see on the screen here, for example, the skill projectiles amount plus 100%. This is insanely powerful, right? So we can potentially have double the amount of projectiles if you don't have any other sources of projectile, regardless if you play the like Holy Rosary build or the Quill Burst build, which is probably the two strongest build. This is probably one of the best things that you can have. So anyway, without further ado, let's just get straight into the guide, right? So this is going to be the first thing. Nothing is random here, except for just a chance for something to show up. So first of all, if you choose the first blessing as crit chance, you will then have a chance to get a critical strike chance plus 20% or critical damage plus 15% as a secondary blessing, right? So if you select crit chance here, you will have these two have a chance to show up. And then if you choose the critical damage, there will be two further options that can show up, which is critical damage and critical chance here. Or, in my opinion, one of the most important one, increase all projectile skill damage by 50%. And because if you choose this 50%, you will result in the last epic blessing to be skill projectiles amount plus 100%. This critical damage and critical chance can lead to the final blessing of 40% crit chance, which is also very good. In the case that you don't play a projectile build, I would highly recommend you to go for a critical damage, because crapping crit chance is actually not that hard in the game with all the blessings, with all the stat that you get from your gear, from your relics, and then also the trinkets that you pick up off the ground. You might not notice it, but they actually give a huge chunk of stat the longer you are in the run, right? So critical damage is actually much better for the final damage outcome, because you don't have a cap on your physical or on your critical damage, but you have a cap on your crit chance at 100%, right? Critical chance can result in further critical chance and critical damage. If you go for the critical chance route for the blue one, you should kind of go for critical damage and critical damage for yellow, and then the epic one, right? Critical chance and then crit hits increase critical chance by 4.5% for 3 seconds, stack up to 10 times. I do think this might be only good if you are like starting a whole new run. So it is like a entirely brand new campaign where you start a new character, you go from Act 1 normal difficulty, and that might be helpful early on, because early on your base crit chance is actually quite very low, because you don't have gear, you don't have relic, so you don't have any amount of critical chance. So these can be good just very early game. But other than that, I would like to recommend you to go for crit damage heavy, right? Of course, if you go for a projectile build, you should go for projectile damage and skill projectiles amount. That is the like really good one, right? The only situation where you play a projectile builds and the skill projectile amount is not good is when you already have very good relics, which rarely ever happen. But if you have really good relics and really good gear, you have, say, already 300% increased amount of projectiles. So, for example, your Quill Burst, instead of 4 projectiles, with 300%, it is throwing 12 projectiles already. So if you just added 100% on top of that, you are going to add 4 more to the equation. So you are going from 12 to 16 projectiles, which is a 25% increase in damage, but you are having a penalty of 30%. So that is the only kind of situation where this projectile blessing started to be actually bad, because it is net negative just in terms of raw number. If you play Quill Burst, it might be a little bit more complicated. because quivers also have the relic that create explosion based on your number of hits. So if you have more projectiles, you just have more hits and you trigger the explosion more frequently, but that is a little bit more complicated. But regardless, in 99.9% of the situation, skill projectiles amount is probably one of the best, if not the best blessing in the game if you play a projectile build, just hands down, right? So this is the critical route. Second is the mana route. If you pick mana as your white blessing, you will have three options. So number one is cooldown speed here. Cooldown speed is going to go into yellow cooldown speed, and then epic is going to be reduce all skill cooldown by 2% on kill. Personally, I think cooldown 20% and cooldown 30% is really good, but the reduced skill cooldown by 2% on kill is actually not that good, because normally where you need more cooldown is when you actually fight the boss and you don't have any extra apps to kill. Therefore, this is just completely useless. So personally, I will never, almost never, ever take the reduced all skill cooldown by 2%. Almost never. Conviction gain is the second route here. Blue conviction gain 20%. Then you can go to two option, which is conviction decay resistant, and blessing of spirit here, which conviction gain 30%. In my opinion, these two are kind of the same. If you play with conviction stacking, personally, I really like conviction decay a little bit more. It seems like it makes the character a little bit more consistent, but conviction gain can give you a better burst of damage. So when you slam like all your potion with the potion converting to conviction, you will have a bigger amount of conviction just as a burst, and then you can convert that to damage through the Written Promise relic, which I always say it is the best or the most OP relic in the game at the moment. And you can gain a lot of conviction that way, and therefore 30% conviction here is good. Regardless, if you have conviction gain, I think if you see conviction decay or conviction gain, you can choose either one, because they eventually just get to the final relic. Both of them is going to be Blessing of Spirit 4 here, which is conversion from mana spend, conviction from mana spend. So if you spend 100 mana, you will gain 20 conviction. But so far, right, just from what I see, I rarely get to a point where this actually is useful, just personally, because your conviction decay really fast. So a lot of the time my mana spend is scaled to the point where it basically doesn't happen. So I'm not sure about this one. But personally, I would only take this if I don't have any option left, or it is the last thing that I get before I get to the final boss fight of the run, right? Blessing of Spirit. And then the last route, which I think is probably the safest bet overall for the mana route, which is mana regeneration, which is really good. Have you sustain, you don't have mana problem. Extra mana, mana 25%, if you are using one of the very good skill in the game, which is the close body skill. It scale your conviction gain of the skill based on your mana, so that is also defensive. And of course, more mana means you just have more mana, right? You can cast more skill. And mana shield here, I think how it works is 20% of your damage, mana shield 20% is 20% of the damage is going to be taken by mana instead of life. So I think that is how it works. I'm not sure, because most of the time when I take this, my character is way too tanky to the point that I don't take damage pretty much, because I have like a 40k word on average, maybe sometimes go to like close to 400k when I pop the potions. So a lot of the time I have not been experiencing how strong this thing really is. So this is going to be the mana route. Next one is the life route. I think this is hands down the best route if you go for melee skills, simply because life can go to life regen and life percent. So life percent is going to be having two routes. For the yellow one, which is the physical resistance, which then go to endurance. But I think the stronger route is going to be more percent life and then grant additional damage to melee skill equal to 2.5% of your current life. This is the only other effect that kind of give percentage based scaling to add flat damage or to add base damage to your skill, and it is significant. When you take it and you don't take it, if you play a melee build, you feel like completely different, right? The number changed drastically. So melee build, this is hands down the best route. Just go life, 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 and additional damage to grant additional damage equal to 2.5% of life, right? The other route is life regen, potion capacity. This is +1, by the way. I accidentally have my mouse cover this one. It is +1. And then grant 1% global lifesteal. The lifesteal actually is quite strong if you play like a conviction stacking and projectile spell build, which is the kind of like strong meta build right now. This one can basically sustain your life forever. If you have ever played with a lifesteal ring, even like a 0.5%, you will know how powerful this effect is. So it basically is you either die to one shot or you always have your life full. That is pretty much how it means. So the lifesteal is very, very strong. And global means it applies to every single types of damage. Potion capacity here can also help you get one more potion, which means you can have more conviction with the conviction potion relic, and then you can have more burst damage that way with the, again, written promise. That is the only relic that I remember by the name at the moment, just because it is insanely strong. Written promise. Next is going to be elemental damage. This actually have more route than I thought, so I had to split it into 2 slides. So this one, elemental damage, it has actually 3 different routes, but the other route is going to be covered in the next slide. So route number 1 is going to increase damage of area ability. So this has 2 additional routes, so it can be skill area of effect, which then lead to more skill area of effect. Normally I don't take this. And then it can lead to also elemental damage, and then hits with elemental damage reduce resistance to all other elemental type by 20%. This is a very weird ability. This is a very, very weird and actually quite rare option to show up as well. So this thing only is good if you play multiple elemental build, right? For example, you play a lightning skill and a plague skill, then this can be helpful because it shreds the elemental resistance of both of the elemental, right? So that is the purpose of this one. The second route is elemental damage. Also can go into more elemental damage here. So these two can both result in elemental damage for yellow. And then of course, the last one is the epic. But elemental damage also have another route that is actually multiple things. Here I have lightning as a example. So it can go to lightning damage. Hits reduce lightning damage by 20%. It also can go fire damage, hits reduce fire resistance by 20%, or it can go plague damage and reduce plague resistance by 20% as well. So depending on your build, you have to choose the element that fit your main damaging skill basically. And then the second, the second slide for the elemental damage, the last route is going to be elemental ailment duration 30%. This can go to either elemental ailment duration plus 50% or ignite damage 30%. I've tried a couple of times for this, and so far the only 2 that I see is this one. Even though I try to refresh a lot, I have not seen anything else. So maybe it's just these 2, right? Elemental ailment duration either can go to wither build-up rate. So wither, if you don't know what it is an ailment that is applied by dealing plague damage. It will build up. It has like a bar to build up. It doesn't show in the game, but it has kind of that effect. And when it fully built up, it will freeze the enemy. How is freezing the enemy? Well, for example, the boss started to have a animation that is going to slam down, right? It will be frozen mid-animation. And when the wither actually just fade off because it has a duration, right? The boss will continue that animation. That is different from being stunned. Stun is going to also lock enemy in place, but it also cancel the animation. Wither is going to freeze the animation, and then when Wither is over, it will continue that animation, right? So that is the Wither. And then you have shock intensity or blight intensity. Blight is a slow Shock is, I think, is reduce enemy resistance or increase the damage taken. It is either those effect. I know for sure it increased the damage taken of enemy. I think it is shredding enemies' resistances, but you know, I have no way to be sure about this one, right? I checked the wiki, but it is fan made, so I'm not sure if it's going to work. You will need to. It is very hard to search for as well. Anyway, the other route is going to be elemental ailment duration into ignite damage and then ignite duration 100%. So this is going to only be good if you play an ignite build. And to be honest, right, even ignite build, personally, I don't think ignite duration is that good. So far right now, all the ignite effect in the game, I think you can reapply it very, very quickly. So having additional duration does not seems to be beneficial. I know from the wiki that ignite is only, you can apply multiple stack of ignite, but only the biggest damage stack is going to take the damage. So it only take the damage from the highest damage ignite that is currently applied to the target, right? So duration, I don't think it is that great. 100% duration. I've never played like an actually full ignite build. I would try it soon, but just logically, I don't think it's that great, right? I might be wrong here, so take it with a grain of salt. Next is going to be physical damage. So it can go to 3 route, bleed chance, go into bleed damage, and bleed duration +1. So bleed have a fixed duration. I think it is 2 seconds. I'm not sure if it is 2, 3, or 4 seconds. I don't remember the information from the wiki. But anyway, it adds a base duration to the bleed, right? Bleed is different from ignite. You can apply multiple stack of bleed, and it has a very complicated formula to get the bleed chance, the actual bleed chance, to be based on your bleed chance and then the enemy's life, how much life percent it is having, and then it will calculate and then have an actual bleed chance. It is a little bit more complicated than it should be, but regardless, bleed chance, bleed can stack multiple stack and all will deal damage, but the base damage is much lower than an ignite, right? So here is the bleed route. The second one is going to be melee skill damage. This is not going to be only physical, but it is melee skill. So say you play double dagger and then you convert your damage to lightning. You are not going to be benefiting from 15% physical damage from the white one, but you are going to benefit from the blue one here, which is melee skill damage, no element specific. It goes more into more melee melee skill damage and more melee skill damage. This is very, very simple. Physical damage goes to physical damage, and then hit reduce physical resistance by 20%. This is basically just like the one that is element for one single element. So physical here is having this one, right? So physical is very simple, but right now personally, I don't think physical is as strong as element, because element have basically a lot stronger like ailment attached to it. By the way, stun is not only physical, exclusive to physical damage. All damage will build up stun. That is according to the wiki. Blessing of Alacrity, movement speed. This have only 2 rounds. One is evasion, going to more evasion, and then it grants 20% move speed and attack speed for 3 seconds after you evade attack. I have not played an evasion build. I think we can potentially stack up evasion to 100% in the end game, but I've not tried it before, so I don't know. Attack speed, but I think evasion probably will have a cap of like 90% or something, just like PoE, because 100% evasion is going to be pretty broken. And second round for move speed is going to be attack speed 15%, into move speed 10%, into 15% move speed if you haven't taken damage in the last 4 seconds. In my opinion, this route is kind of shit. It is very, very low value in terms of character power. Maybe you can take it if you do like a high level character, but you run a low level, you do a low level run just to farm resources or something, then maybe this thing is going to be useful. But you know, in majority of runs, nobody is going to take this. I think if you accidentally go for movement speed here, you don't have a lot of choices. So this is probably the worst blessing to take in my opinion. Right. So that is everything. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you do enjoy, and yeah, stay tuned for more build of not build, that's so PoE. Stay tuned for more beginners guide tips and tricks. And if you find this video helpful, please consider to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This video take an insane amount of time to make, even though I only one take the actual record here. Just to play the game and gather all of these details is just taking me so much time. So if you find this helpful, please consider to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I'll make sure to leave the like section in the description. Also, there will be a link to the game website in the description. I want to clarify here, I am not sponsored. I am not I simply got given a free key through a platform called Keymailer. Massive thanks to them. But I leave the link there because I think the game is good, and the link have my name in it because it is how the developer can track on the platform how effective it is. If it is effective, there's more chance for me to receive further keys from other games that also use that platform. But I don't have like an affiliate relationship with the game or anything. I'm not I'm not sponsored. I don't have the affiliate bonuses from the link. So yeah, if you care about those stuff, that is, you know, the information that I got here. So I just want to clarify that real quick, right? I share this game because I really like this game. I share content about this game because I really liked it. So I want to, you know, have more people enjoy it. So that is the whole thing. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. I'm going to record a bunch of these in this series of beginner's guide and tips on HellClock. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Oh, 1 second. Okay. Peace. I do not show my face because it can block off some of the content that is in the slide. So